to the encouragement bar. It's your girl Lo. You already know. I feel like now that you guys understand, that's the greeting, right? So we're gonna go ahead and introduce someone who thinks he looks like Morris Chestnut. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Is This Your King? And one of the best friends a girl could ever have, a rock in some really difficult situations, and someone who just is a pillar. That's the best way that I can describe him. Welcome to the encouragement bar, Victor Harper Jr.
I'm trying to walk cool right now, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he swears he's like...
Trying to walk cool here.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Hey.
This is
It's
real
been a while since we've been, on camera together.
Yeah. You got real fancy, upgraded around here. You know
You
what I'm
done
saying?
upgraded a little bit too.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't put my business out.
Just a little bit,
Right.
It's good. It's good. How you doing?
Cool, man. Cool. I can't complain at all. Just got back from vacation and, been chilling.
Yes. How was Italy?
It was good. It was my first time being out the country. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. It's 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I never thought, I ain't gonna lie, never in my life I thought I'd leave the country like that for a vacation. And that was my first time, and it was cool. It was cool. I ain't gonna lie though, the food was mid. But, we deal with those things.
For the Italians, please. He said that, not me.
Man, they be lying over there. They be drinking wine and drunken over there. They be talking about the food fire. That food ain't fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been, so I don't know.
Yeah, you'll learn.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I remember asking you a couple of different times, would you ever go out the country? You like, what do I need to go out the country for? I'm good. I could go somewhere else if I want to.
Yeah.
Now look at you.
Yeah.
What changed?
Well, my girl wanted to go. It was a wedding, right? So it's some people I didn't know, but my girl wanted to go with some people they knew. And she said something to me last year about it, and then it was getting close to the time, and I know she wanted to go, but I felt like she didn't really have a plan. So we got close to it, and I said, hey, I'll pick up the plane tickets. You just figure out where we're gonna stay. And so I had got the plane tickets, and then once the plane tickets had gotten and that was solidified, at that point we was going. But I was kind of worried because I'm afraid of heights, and that being on that plane for that long time was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really that bad. You know what I'm saying? I ain't sleep none damn time, but.
How long was the flight?
9, 10 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, but I was just watching movies and everything like that. But it was cool. I ain't have no issues at all.
Yeah, I feel like international flights aren't that bad because they give you a little bit more than the regular domestic
facts.
flights.
That was my first time. They gave you a pillow, a little blanket.
Yeah, you was probably like, oh.
Yeah, you already know. I was at my little blanket. I was watching movies. They gave me a little meal.
Yeah.
Felt like a little kid back again. I was like, yo, we winning out here.
That's awesome. I'm glad you got to experience
Yeah.
that. I saw you posting on Instagram, first you had no music. And you just over here taking pictures of the Coliseum and all this, and you just hear the entire conversation in the background. Then you started putting music. I'm like, what is going on? You were, yeah. Anyway,
I don't know how to work social media like
no,
that.
it was kind of like, oh,
yeah, I was just posting.
He's out there. So I was really happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, that's awesome. I really wanted to have you here because, one, when I think of my own resilience journey in my relationship and just in life and where I'm at, you're part of the reason why this is happening. I remember last year when I came back to where we both work, you were like, oh, how's the year going? And you were checking in on me because, you're a manager there. And I was like, oh, yeah, this and this and this. And then you were like, okay, well, how about your goals outside of this? And I was like, oh, yeah, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. And then you were like, okay, cool, but what about your show? And then I was like, what you mean? And you were like, well, you've been talking about wanting to do this. And it's great that you're doing all these other things, but what about your show? And so for me, it was like a wake-up call. You're accomplishing these other things, and you're not accomplishing what you truly want to do. And I think you've always helped me to get back to myself and my purpose and the things that I want to do. I still remember one of the birthday gifts you gave me, which is a little Dear Black Woman journal and like the message that you wrote in it. And so, yeah, I just want to thank you for that because I probably would have still stalled, you know, if you didn't check me. You're really good at that, you know. So, yeah, but I also wanted to have you on here because I feel like you're a very...
Yeah, what you got to say? Come on. I'm ready for it.
Well, you think I'm going to say something? What
No,
you think I'm going to
I
say?
feel like I'm about to be flattered. I don't know.
It's like, do I give you this compliment or not? I think that you're a very... the word would be resilient, but the way that I would define it is from the moment that like I met you to like where you're at now, you've always been someone who's been grounded. Like you've taught me to not take certain things so seriously. It's like it ain't that deep is like your favorite thing to say. Like it ain't that deep. And in some cases it be that deep.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, and in some cases it isn't. But I think that you have a really, really great knack for like just staying grounded. So how did you get that?
I think, I don't know. I think growing up, there were certain things that like there's levels to things, right? So when you grow older, like I'm 40 years old, right? And then the time where I was growing up and where I was growing up, there was a lot of big things happening, right? Like people were dying, things of that nature. And I was from a bad area. So like once we moved, so backstory, once my mom and dad got divorced, me and my mom moved to a good area. And then I see people complaining about these little things. And I was like, I got my own room now when I moved from my mom to where we lived at. And then where I used to live, it was me and my brother sharing these twin beds, you know, trying to get through. We had one bathroom in the whole house. You couldn't breathe. You couldn't even fart in that house without the other person hearing you, and like wherever they was at, right? But we got this big house where we was at and where my mom moved, and it was cool. And then like after that, I kind of picked up the ideology of like, if it ain't that deep, it ain't that deep. Like it can always be worse. And also like seeing the other people around me, the stuff they went through. Like, you know, I've had friends who, like I have a friend right now, he's like a brother to me. He had 3 brothers and all of them dead. You know what I'm saying? He's the youngest. And like I watched him go through that, and like I still have my brother, I still have my mother, I still have my father. So it's like, what do I have to complain about?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. You are grateful.
Yeah.
The level of gratitude that you have, you know how people be like, you should be grateful for things. You should, like, you embody gratitude.
Yeah.
You grateful for the little things, you grateful for the big things, and all of them are like equal to you. When did you develop that then, or was that like something that you learned?
No, I think, like, I guess it's it's generational, I think, but I mean, that's opinion based, but like, my mother and my grandfather didn't want to be millionaires. They wanted to have a house, they wanted to have their land, and they wanted to be able to chill and be content and be able to like be just financially cool, right? They didn't want to be millionaires, and that's what I want to be. Like I never wanted to be a millionaire. So like with that, like I'm content with like things like, you know, where I'm like, if I'm comfortable, if I'm good, I got a roof over my head, things of that nature, then like I'm content with that. Because like everybody goes through those points where like there's been a time where I had to sleep in my car, right? Like I was homeless, and like I was homeless for like a week or two, but like sleeping in your car and then you get in the house. Once you hear that rain hit that roof, then you're like, yeah, I'm glad to be under this roof right now, right? So like it's just that like my grandparents and my parents were very content with what they had, and they never wanted to be billionaires, millionaires, things of that nature. And I was one of those people that just got that from them.
I was gonna say, do you think ambition can be a downfall sometimes?
I think ambition without purpose sometimes. I think sometimes people throw around ambition like it's just this thing that sticks to everything, and it's not really. Like to be honest with you, if you have no, like some people just want, I have ambition to be what I have people I want to be. I have ambition to be an influencer or whatever, right? But like, what purpose does that give you, type deal? So I think ambition is a good thing to have, but I think that sometimes we look for we're walking before we crawl, and we're not thinking about the purpose first.
Right. What would you say your purpose is, or the purpose for resiliency is? I guess those 2 questions.
So the purpose for me, I think, is like support. I think that like I'm here to support those that are around me, and I think that's I love that purpose. You know what I'm saying? I think some people want to be the main character all the time. For me, I don't need need to be the main character all the time. That's something that's like I don't need that in my life. But I love to support my friends, my family, things in that nature, and be able to like when I like as I've grown and how I've become more financially free, my friends have been able to join me and be part of those things with me. So I love to do that. Now, you say the purpose of resilience. I mean, it's to get you through life. Like life is hard. Like there is when you get out here in the real world and life start lifing, like fam, you need resilience, because I always tell people like once you get out here, like the electric bill ain't gonna care what you're going through mentally.
For sure.
Like your mortgage ain't gonna care what you're going through mentally. So you have to find some sort of resilience to be able to get through that, because you have to keep going. Like there is no time out. Like there ain't no time out for this and everything like that. So that's the purpose of resilience.
When did you like have your life be lifing moment? Like what's one life be lifing moment that like sticks out to you?
I would say before I moved to Minnesota, one point, so my mother and father got divorced, and I lived in Benton Harbor, Michigan. My mother and father got divorced. My mother moved to South Haven, Michigan, with me and my brother. We stayed, it was like 30 miles apart. It ain't that far. And when I became 18, I graduated high school, and my mother found crack in the house because I was holding it for a friend. And so she sent me to live with my father, like we some boys in the hood stuff, right?
For
you know
sure.
What I'm saying?
She said, "What is that?"
So she sent me to live with my father. So I went to go live with my father. As I get like the first 2 weeks, I got like 2 jobs. I was working 2 jobs. My father was a semi-truck driver, so he was gone for like a month or 2 at a time, and it was me by myself in the house. At some point, my brother started acting up, and my mother wanted to send him to my father's house too. So me and my brother at the house. My father is gone. It is what it is. I'm picking him up from school and stuff like that because he's still in high school. He like finishing up his last year. My brother does this thing where my father had 2 guns in the house. He had a 9 in the drawer, and some type of rifle underneath the couch. Been there since we've been kids. My brother decides to sell the rifle underneath under the couch, right? I didn't know this at first. My father came home from truck driving or whatever, and he found that it was missing. So he's yelling at me about it, like, "What you do? What you do? You sold my gun. What you do? You stole it?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you talking about."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm totally thrown off. So he kicks me out, right? And later I found out that my brother stole it and sold it, and me and him get into it, and that's it. But like during that time that he kicked me out, I had nowhere else to go. So I was sleeping in my car for a good 2 weeks or so, just like trying to figure it out. And it took me about, I think I stayed with my grandma for a little bit, and that was a little tough. But after that, I ended up moving back in with my dad. But then at that time, I decided to get out of Michigan. So
That was the reason why you were like, "Oh, I want to leave and come to Minnesota." Okay. What were the other reasons?
The other reason was, again, my best friend, his brother had got killed. So I wanted to get out of Michigan because of that, because things were getting a little crazy. Also, my other best friend, he went to federal prison. He had got 30 years for drug trafficking, and then he only did 10 of that. But like when he left, it was kind of a thing where like as we getting older, things is getting kind of real. You know what I'm saying? I was never in the streets or anything like that, but like my friends are. And so what happens is like you out there, you with these dudes and you affiliated with them. And then once somebody catch you, you can just be going to the corner store by yourself, minding your business, and they want to do something to you, and the next thing you know, you in something because of that. So I was like, I need to get up out of there.
What was your transition like coming to Minnesota?
It was smooth. I mean, I packed up. I ain't had much, so I packed up like some things in the garbage bag, put in the back seat, and I drove.
For
Like
sure.
it wasn't nothing. I came here, I really didn't know anything. Like when I came to Minnesota, I thought it was gonna be white people and trees. Like I ain't know there was cities here, nothing like that. And I was like pleasantly surprised when I got here. My first time meeting anybody from the continent of Africa when I came here, and it was nice. I came here, I went to college, I met some lifelong friends, and it's been cool, man.
That's cool. How do you think, what would you say is like an ingredient in resilience? So I know gratitude, it seems like, is one, but what's another ingredient that you would say is in resilience?
Self-awareness. Um, Sometimes being self-aware of things is difficult for human beings. Um, I mean, I watch people do it all the time. I mean, we all watch people do it all the time. But if you're not self-aware of what's going on, like sometimes you blame so many other things about why you're in the situation you're in. And one of the things that helps you be resilient is knowing, like, hey, this is I made this choice, and this is the reason why I'm in this situation, and now I just got to deal with it.
So like accountability,
Correct.
basically.
Correct.
Yeah, because I know that's like something that we're both really big on, is like being accountable for your own actions in the situations that you're in.
Correct.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Where did you learn how to be accountable from?
Shit, I would think every black child know how to do that.
Why do you say that?
So there is never a chance, there is never a moment where I did something where my mama didn't hold me accountable for it if I didn't mess up. Like that's just what it was. And even when I felt like I wasn't, like it'd be something. I remember there was a time when my brother used to do stuff, and I used to be held accountable for it. So like I think that's like a natural thing where it's like you held accountable for that. I think for me at a young age, I knew, like, it's crazy because I think we've had this conversation about, like, I feel like when I was younger, like, give me like 9, 10, I know right from wrong, like point blank period. Like when I got caught doing something, I knew, all right, I didn't know I couldn't do that. It was like, damn, I got caught, type deal. But like now I feel like nowadays we kind of talk about like, oh, they don't know. Nah, we know. It's just the fact that we just got caught at that point.
For sure.
But like, I was always accountable because I was always aware, and I think everybody around me that growing up with, we all was aware.
I think there's a difference between knowing and understanding. Somebody could know something was wrong, but you might not know why it's wrong.
Yeah.
So I think what you learn in time is like, oh, that's why it's wrong. Like I know it's wrong, but now I know why if I do this, this is what's gonna cause this.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, when you're in situations where life is life, and you're like, and you take a look at what you can do, and kind of going back to that self-awareness, that's where that understanding is developed.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So yeah, I think that's why, like, being intentional about getting to know who you are and being intentional about getting to know, like, the process of life makes a difference.
Yeah. I mean, it's really important to, I think one of the important things about that is like getting to know who you are. But most people don't. Well, for me, I ain't gonna say most people. I'm gonna say for me, it took me a while to do that. Like, cause there's so many distractions in the way. Like, when even moving up here, I didn't really fully realize who I was. Like, I was working 2 jobs. I was going to school. I was dealing with whatever girl at the time I was dealing with. And then like it's all a distraction because you ain't really dealing with yourself. Are you dealing with these outside things? You going to work, going to job, going to school, dealing with a girl, and you ain't dealing with yourself. And I think after a while, when all those things have slowed down and you have to really deal with yourself, that's when you get to know who you are and just like figure out like, hey, what do I want to do in my life and what's my purpose type deal.
What made you have to deal with yourself?
I think moving to Minnesota was a big part of that because I moved here with no family, and it was kind of like this me kind of deal. Also to the point where like being here you spend a lot of time by yourself when you don't know anybody, right? And also I'm not really a going out type person, so like I'll be chilling in the house, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a thing where like when you chill in the house for so long and then you kind of like going through experiences since I've been here, that part just really helped me get to know myself, and especially with COVID helped me reflect on some things and like how me and my relationship with my father is and things like that, even the relationship with my mother, and like realize why I am the way I am, and also being able to be proud of the reason how I am is was a big part of it.
Well, what are like some of those realizations that you had?
Just like I was raised, and I think it's not unique, but like I was raised a little rough, you know what I'm saying? Like I told this story before where like the first time I got in a fight before I even been in school, these 2 kids jumped me and I had no idea who they was, right? And my mom watched me from the porch, and then like I didn't fight back because I didn't know what was going on. And then I ran back to the house crying, and then I thought, I went back to go like, oh, my mom about to embrace me and take care of me. She whooped my ass, and and then she sent me back out, right? And then that part right there kind of made me realize that after that, she told me don't never let nobody put their hands on you, and you don't fight them back, right? And then after that, I grew up doing it that way, where like everything that somebody did anything to me, I responded with violence. But once you get older, you know what I'm saying? You get in middle school, you get in high school, they getting tired of you getting kicked out of school. But you the one taught me this, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you the one that taught me like, hey, I gotta respond this way because if I don't, then they're gonna treat me like, I'm food. So at this point now, like I realized that, and then after a while, I corrected that behavior because in the real world, it don't work that way, right? But like I remember being in Minnesota. I forgot where I was at, and I remember like reflecting on that, and I'm like I don't blame her for that because I understand her fear is like me being taken advantage of or me being food for being out there in the streets or anything like that, right? But like it was something that like it don't help me in the real world. Like it didn't prepare me for that, and then and I think like she didn't understand like once I grow up, like if I keep doing that, that's on you because you're the one that made me do that. Because I see people who still do that who are around me. Like any type of friction that they come across, they respond violently. And I used to think to myself, why are they responding that way? But I'm like, no, y'all went through the same thing I went through. Y'all just ain't unlearned it yet.
How did you unlearn it? What was that process like?
Man, just being able to, like my father scared me to death one time about not selling drugs. Like he said, I think he threatened to kill me if he said he found me selling drugs. And I was like a little kid. Like this is when I watched for the first time Boys in the Hood. And after we watched Boys in the Hood, I think we just watching a movie. We gonna chill and go to sleep. When that movie went on, he gave us an hour and a half lecture about not selling drugs. Like we in Compton or something. So like so I was scared to death, right? I never smoked, I never drank, I never sold no drugs, right? So I never got into it. So I used to get jobs. I got a paper route. I used to wash dishes, things of that nature, right? And then in those environments, like you can't respond to every little thing with violence. It just don't end up right. You going to jail. You know what I'm saying? So like at that point, I had learned like this ain't how real life work. Like there is like I talk about first we talked about me going to Italy, right? There's somebody out there that's my age ain't never left their city.
Yeah.
They ain't never left the people that's been around them, right? But for me, think about me being around everybody else who's like-minded and they respond the same way. I would think that's normal. I left that bubble and went to work around different people and learned like, hey, this ain't the way you respond or something else is gonna happen, right? So that's how I learned it was like being outside of my bubble that I was usually in and being in different places.
Yeah, I think comfortability can be the thing that gets you stuck. And even though being uncomfortable or being in a new environment is like, there's the unknown, like the fear of failure and all that stuff. It's like, even if you fail, you still pick up something that you wouldn't have picked out any other way. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's good. What would you say to the version of you that I first met?
Stay 10 toes down. You know what I'm saying? Just keep going what you're doing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But you've already been doing that. So it's like, versus like, you know what I'm saying?
But I think then still, it was still difficult. Like, you have to understand, like, when I first met you, well, I was in a relationship. Yeah, I was in a relationship. I was in that long distance relationship, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
And like, even then, like, I mean, I stayed 10 toes down, but still just reinforced that, to be honest with you, because to be honest with you, in that relationship, the girl that I was with didn't understand the journey that I was trying to take, right? Because they was thinking it's supposed to happen just like this, right? Like you're supposed to be successful just like this. I'm like, okay, I got this promotion. Oh, another year, I got this promotion. Another year, I got this promotion. And then I'm moving my way up. But they not understanding why it's taking so long for me to get where I want to be. And then I finally got there, right? And I'm no longer with that person right there. But like, I didn't let that person's thought process and like their words of like, oh, why don't you get another job, or why don't you just do this and do this, take this easy route, why don't you do that, shake my resolve and then like just move me off my path.
Yeah.
So like I'll just tell my person like stay 10 toes down, G, like this is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's okay, then I would say that's what it is. Like, your mental resilience is like, it don't matter what you doing. Whatever you doing is what you doing. This is what I'm doing. This is who I am. And I think that's one of the things that I had to learn. You know, I didn't have a trust in myself until I learned that I could actually trust myself. You know, just because of how I grew up and how, you know, I was kind of I was a people pleaser at one point in my life. Like, I was living to please and make, you know, my family proud, my friends proud, all these other people proud, that I lost my sense of self in that. And so mentally, I always say it always felt like I was on autopilot. Like, there was me, and then there was like I was outside of me. Like, I was just going through the motions until life lifed. And then it was like I had to deal with all the things that I allowed unknowingly and yet allowed. And I think that that's one of the things that I've learned through my journey is like, the more that you're yourself, the more that you allow yourself to be, whether that's your emotions, whether that's your personality, whether that's your, you know what I'm saying, whatever, the more that you stay 10 toes, like, the more that you stay grounded.
Yeah, it's the power of saying no, to be honest with you. Like, sometimes, you know, it says a people pleaser, you don't know how to say no
Yep.
sometimes. It's the power of saying no. Like, again, going back to, like, me growing up, like, I had to say no a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they smoking, I say no. When they drinking, I say no, and they act like you're a weirdo, right? When they getting money doing what they want to do, I say no, I'm good. They act like you're a weirdo. It's not easy at any respect, because when you're around and you're in that environment, you have no choice to be in that environment. Like, people look at you as like you're weird, or, you know, you stand out, things of that nature. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you know what you know what's for you, then you need to just stick with that. Like, why be a soldier in the army when you can be a general of your own? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? Like, I'm not
For
about to
sure.
sit here and play these games with these people. So yeah.
For sure. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is what we always end up debating about:
What's that?
men and women.
Okay. You
So,
trying to get me canceled? What was going on?
no, I'm just saying, you know. So, as from a male's perspective, and
Okay.
I asked PJ the same question too. How would you define, or what does resilience look like for you as a man?
Responsibility, I guess. Being able to be responsible for not only your actions, but also, I guess, accountability as well. Like, responsibility and accountability is very important as a man. Sometimes me growing up, what made me be the way I am is because I used to see a lot of men who weren't responsible and accountable, and I used to think that they were like, I don't want to be like that, and that's why I did that. That's not saying that you won't make any mistakes, because mistakes happen. You're human, and you're gonna you're gonna do some things, but, like, I would say, like, being responsible and accountable are, like, very important as a man for me, as far as, like, what you asked or whatnot. Sorry,
Okay. What?
I had blanked out for a
No,
minute.
it's okay. You good. That makes sense. Um, Other than that, what would you say that you want to leave people with when it comes to their journey? You know, like, people, anybody. Like, what would you want to say to kind of encourage, you know, someone? We do something at the end of the show where you're
Oh,
gonna
we at
look.
the end?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Unless you got something else you want to talk
Oh,
about.
no, I don't know.
Okay. Where you look directly in the camera and you say, "Be encouraged," and then something. So what is it? What is it that you want to leave the audience with when it comes to, you know, their journey of finding themselves, discovering who they are, and, you know, going through their own resilience journey?
Oh, okay. The only thing I would think of is, like, yo, like, finding yourself is not easy at all. Like, it's hard, and it takes a long time. Like, some people put these dates on things when you're supposed to do it. Like, oh, at 20 I'm gonna be this, at 30 I'm gonna be this, things of that nature. That's all arbitrary. That is nothing. That is all. This is a marathon, not a race. It's just not to sound corny or anything like that. But, like, to be honest with you, like, finding yourself is the most important thing, because if you don't know who you are, you ain't gonna never be nothing for nobody. You're never going to be able to be good for nobody in a relationship, and you're not going to be able to help anybody in any friendship or anything like that. You have to figure out who you are, and to be able to do that, you have to be able to deal with the distractions that are in front of you. So if you're hopping from relationship to relationship, or if you're just busy with all this other stuff going on and all this other noise, jobs, whatever it be, like it all is doing is slowing you down from finding out who you are. So just figure that out, figure that part out first, and everything else, the road will be clear from you from then on out.
Yeah.
That was cool. That's
Yeah,
good. That's
no,
all I
that
got.
was good. That
That's all I
totally
got.
makes sense. Yeah, I love you. You're dope.
Okay, we gonna get mushy on here.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You know I'm mushy. Anyways, before we close out, I have to give you your flowers while
Okay.
you're here.
All right.
Like, I love you. I
Okay.
appreciate
Love you
you.
too.
I appreciate, like, you know, just the example. This was one of the things that I was thinking about as these interviews were coming up this week, and I wanted to make sure to say to you, you know, I don't feel safe with a lot of men, and I always have felt safe with you. And I want to thank you for giving me that space to be safe, to be able to have like an older brother, to, you know, laugh, to, you know, just support. Like you really do support. And I really, really appreciate that.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Can I get you some Kleenex too?
Yeah.
Okay. One other thing, and not to sound corny or anything like that, but also, like, just because you a man and you see a guy don't mean that you have to fuck her try to fuck her all the time. Like, you will miss out on so many good relationships, and they don't have to be like intimate relationships for you to try to fuck everything that come across your way. You know what I'm saying? So like, figure that out, because like there's things like all my friends, most of my best friends are women. And that's not because I tried to have sex with them or anything like that but I have gained so much from them. I wouldn't even be in the position that I am now financially if I didn't have the best friend that I have now. So like, keep that in mind. Like, every relationship that you have with the opposite sex doesn't have to be sexual, and you don't have to like always gain something sexual from that. It can also be just a plain relationship, friendship, and you can gain a lot from that.
Yeah.
So that's all I
Cool.
got.
Well, thanks for joining us in the encouragement bar, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
International Vic.
Hey!
So,
I should have said international Vic.